There's a few different topics I plan on talking about in this video, but why should you stick around? If I don't know exactly what I'm going to hone in on, why you should stick around is at the very end, I'm going to offer a tip around if you've used your AirPods to capture your audio. So if you don't have a microphone or you're just not using a different microphone, there is a software that, in my experience, has done a pretty good job of taking audio that came from your AirPods, which usually sounds pretty bad if you're trying to use it on a podcast, for example. But there's a way that could help you out. What I found helped me out, so it could help you out too. All right. So the main thing I want to talk about in this video, and I'll see how this branches out, is I feel like um, what my career has turned into is, and how I articulate is helping people who don't want to do video, although they think they should do video. And I kind of just inverted it. Um, Currently on my LinkedIn profile, I have, if you should do more video, but don't want to do more video, we should talk. I can probably help. And it's funny because it sounds, I think historically I'm not an incredibly blunt person. Um, Partially because I guess I had a belief that being too blunt is sort of impolite. But the thing is, when it comes to branding, marketing, and sales, what I've found is that bluntness can be really, really not just helpful, but really, really good because it's clear. Um, and then the caveat there is that you're not going to have a 100% success rate. Like there's going to be people who I don't know another phrase for this, but you might ruffle some feathers with some things that you say. So a couple things that I want to talk about as it relates to, you think you should do more video, but you simply and very blatantly do not want to do more video. Probably my best tip for this, before I get into the actual technical audio tip around how you recorded your audio for your video, is I find that when someone's struggling to do a video, they're usually struggling to do a short form video live on spot in one take. So basically, I think about it as they're trying to cram this nebulous idea that they have into a very small container, into a very small box. So let's say they have, like I said, this nebulous network of ideas that they want to pull from, but then they're trying to do a video in under 60 seconds. That, mind you, is not edited either, right? Like 60 seconds edited can capture a longer message than 60 seconds unedited, because all the breaths we take, the ums and the ahs, as those are cut out, it buys you back more time. And a video editor buys you back more time in that 60 seconds to actually get to the crux of the message. So I think a really helpful way to get out of that, I don't know if I'm going to call it a rut, but get out of that feeling of you think you should do more video, but you don't want to do more video, is to shift away from strictly doing short form content and to move into doing long form content that's largely unedited, mind you. And I can tell you why I'm saying to have it unedited, even though I have a video editing service that I offer. I'm thinking about it more holistically in terms of how you step through personal branding and how you step through building your brand. I don't think video editing is the first step of building your personal brand. And if I'm going to educate you on how to best step into my service, then I'm going to do my best to help you do that. So to help educate you on how to best move into that. So as I mentioned, if you think you should be doing more video, but you don't want to be doing more video, chances are you're trying to cram too much information, too many ideas, and as I said, to give you a little bit of imagery, too many nebulous ideas into a very small box. So instead of trying to cram it into a short form video like that, even though Reels and Shorts and TikTok is very popular today, I want you to think longer term in terms of regardless of platform, being platform agnostic, how do you focus on building your brand? Um, so I think as opposed to cramming all these nebulous ideas or attempting to cram these nebulous ideas into a small box, to instead move over to intentionally do a long form piece of content. And I'm going to say long form video in this scenario. And to have less focus on editing and to use it as a way to capture as much or as little of those nebulous ideas, that nebulous network of ideas, and have what I call room to run in the video. So, as opposed to trying to cram everything into a sub 60-second unedited video, as I mentioned earlier, give yourself at least 5 minutes, if not 10 or more. Keep going until you want to wrap up. The first few times you do this, you might find that you're going to talk for a very long time, much, much longer than you think. So if you're moving from trying to cram into a 1 minute video, you're probably thinking, oh, well, I was a little rushed in that 1 minute video. I could probably get the message done in under 90 seconds or under 2 minutes. You'd be surprised though, that once you start talking, the 2 minutes goes by, the 3, 4, 5, even six through 10, and even more so. So you just went from 1 minute of trying to do a video in under 1 minute. Now you've 5x, 10x that amount. And the reason why I'm saying to have less focus on editing is that it's actually, there's two reasons why I have to bring this up. So which reason do I go over first? Technical reason or the more what I would call philosophy driven reason, the ideological reason? Let's do the ideological reason first, and then we'll back into the technical, because that might bridge into the technical tip I have for how you're capturing audio, which, by the way, I'm not actually capturing audio with these headphones. These are actually just for show right now. I had them on before I started recording and I forgot to take them out. So let me do the ideological reason why to do less editing for your long form videos, especially if you're just starting building your brand. Given that, as I mentioned, as I think about the holistic journey of what it takes to start stepping into different levels of your brand, I don't think video editing, even though my company and I personally, I offer video editing services, I don't think that's the first step. So I want to educate you on how you can step in more, how do I say this? Step in more responsibly, more strategically to that brand that you're building. So the ideological reason for doing less editing for your long form is it will help you build what I call is your personality portfolio without the operational drag that comes from getting videos edited, reviewed, revised, and published. You can still continue to build the personality portfolio. So if you, for example, if someone Googles your name, if you're semi-active on LinkedIn, your LinkedIn will probably come up pretty high on the Google results. And if you have a YouTube channel, chances are that'll come up too. So yes, you can have your YouTube channel in your featured section on your LinkedIn, but let's think about it both ways. So let's say someone Googles your name, they see your LinkedIn, they're like, oh, okay, cool, I've already seen your LinkedIn. Oh, but a YouTube channel, that's interesting. Let me click that. They go on, they see it's a brand new channel, you have 0 subscribers, or maybe 1 subscriber. You asked one friend to subscribe and they were more than happy to do so. So thank you, friend. However, you might be thinking, well, I have 0 subscribers or I have 1 subscriber. Like, what's the use in that? Like, what's the point in that? Couple things. One, you got to start somewhere, right? Like, you can think about building your brand, and especially a personal brand. You could think about it. But until you start talking, and in this case, talking on camera, talking into a microphone, talking, the brand doesn't really get built, never gets started to be built. Therefore, it can't get built. So, the idea of the personality portfolio is that even with a smaller following, or you think a following uh, that you think is not substantial enough to be relevant, you can provide a public portfolio of videos that I'm calling is your personality portfolio. It's a way for you to share ideas, insights, tips, tricks, and have someone give them the opportunity to spend time with you, what I'm calling privately, without a one-on-one. So this is a way to have people to start buying into your way of thinking, buying into your way of operating in your industry, in your space, right? So like even as you're watching this video, it's giving you a little bit more into how I think and how I work, because the truth is that even if I can technically solve the problem that you're looking for, if you don't like the way I solve the problem, there's a good chance you won't want me to solve it. And I know there's different takes on this, because if you can ultimately, if someone can solve the problem for you and that's all you want, cool. But there's different levels to it, because if it's purely a done for you service where it's very hands off, or as some people say, like turnkey, where the customer does not have to be involved at all, yes, that is possible. You don't have to like the way someone does it, or like the kind of the way they think about it, because you're not actually having to input anything into that process. So think of like a traditional lead generation engine, um, like automated messages or things like that. You don't have to like the way someone does it for them to get you the result that you wanted. But with video and creating content for a personal brand, there has to be some level of input from the person that's being personally branded. And I don't mean personally branded like putting a brand or a stamp on you. Um, but there is some level of input that's required. So um, the and when if there's a level of input required on the part of the customer, there needs to be, it's my belief that there needs to be more buy-in in terms of like the ideology, the way of thinking on the part of the customer and the seller, the service provider. So all that being said, I covered a good amount there, but as I promised, let me get into that technical tip. I think my video feed actually might be lagging a little bit in this video. Let me know in the comments if it is, but I'll do the end of this video as well for the tip on audio. So as I mentioned, I'm not actually using these AirPods for audio in this video. I'm not hearing the audio, and I'm not capturing it through here either. But if you were on a Zoom where you recorded maybe one of your first podcast episodes or an interview that you're going to use in a podcast, there's a decent chance that there was AirPods used on your part or on your guest's part. And the audio usually sounds pretty tough when it's captured through the AirPods. So what you can do is you can use a software called Descript. It's Descript. And there's a feature inside of Descript that they might have changed the name by now, but it's called Studio Sound, where you can put in your audio and you click Studio Sound, and it will create more of what's called a quote unquote studio-like sound that's a bit more fuller and gets rid of, or at least limits that sound of talking into a tunnel. And if you feel like you have audio that's used a lot of headphones to capture that audio, that's a good option for you. Let me know, have you used it before? One. And two, if you haven't used it, what are you going to use it for? Is it for video content for your personal brand, and or is it for the podcast that you host? Okay, so I'll be talking with you in the next one. Yeah, thanks for hanging in on. I think the video started lagging about halfway through, but I'll talk with you in the next one.